Wow, free agency is wild. The Vikings, first off, they lost Sheldon Richardson. The Browns came in. They picked up the Vikings 3-tech last year, which stings quite a bit. Sheldon Richardson came out of a one-year deal basically out of nowhere last offseason. The Vikings, everybody thought the Vikings were done spending their money last offseason after Cousins. But then they picked up Sheldon Richardson, and our defensive line looked really, really good, or at least we thought it would. And then Sheldon had a solid year this year. Now he's going to Cleveland after a big payday, and years ago that would have been an absolute joke, but now all of a sudden the Browns are a solid team, so the Browns look like they're putting a lot of good pieces together, and Sheldon is being one of their pieces. So it sucks for the Vikings, because now a defensive tackle is a priority, but linebacker is no longer a high priority. After I made a video and everybody said that Barr is going to the Jets, he said, nah, I'm staying in Minnesota. He got cold feet, whatever you want to call it. He's back in Minnesota. A couple theories on what happened here. One theory is I think the Vikings were they wanted Sheldon Richardson more, but they got outbid, so they couldn't get Sheldon, so then they upped the ante and then they brought Barr back. Other option, Barr was packing up to New York, and he sees a text message from his old college roommate and Viking teammate, Eric Kendricks, saying, "What's up?" And he just doesn't know how to respond. You can't get up, and he can't tell his boy Eric Kendricks that he's packing up his bags and moving to New York, and the bromance would be shattered. So he sucked up his pride and took a cheaper contract to stay in Minnesota. One of the two options, you can decide which one is true. But now, all of a sudden, the Vikings no longer are in a high priority need a linebacker, so that should be off the table for our early picks. I wouldn't mind if we did one late, because you always need depth at linebacker. But the first two is obviously now a guard. Offensive line somewhere, you can shift it a little bit, but ideally a guard. And defensive tackle is not very high, because the Vikings signed Shamar Stephen, and then Tom Johnson still hasn't been signed. So it's just Linval, Shamar, and Jaleel Johnson, all guys that play on the nose, more run defending, stuffing defensive tackles you don't understand. The 3-tech is the Sheldon Richardson position, the guy that left, and he rushes the passer a little bit more than the other guys like Linval Joseph, while they kind of take up two players on offense, the offensive linemen to block them, and free up the linebackers to tackle the running back most of the time. That's more of their responsibility. So we want that quicker type of defensive tackle, and we don't really have one in the building. The closest example we have is second-year rookie defensive tackle and hybrid Jalen Holmes, and I don't know if I've even seen him on the football field last season. So definitely a huge question mark there. So in the draft, you have to look for guys like Ed Oliver, who I've seen that could all drop all the way down and been compared to Aaron Donald. So if he lives up to that type of hype, absolutely. But offensive guard, defensive tackle, the up front, the battle of the trenches is starting to get a little bit weak for the Vikings, with Linval Joseph not looking as good as he used to last year. It's going to be a pretty big priority, and if the Vikings just want to do defensive tackle by committee in the 3-tech, I don't think that will work very good. I know the Vikings have exceptionally have very good defensive line coaches. Patterson is fantastic. But when the talent's not there, you can only coach up so much. So I will have to see. But having Anthony Barr back on the good part of this video just cleans up a whole lot. Him and Kendricks, of course, have one of the best repertoires around. Barr does do a lot of good things despite him coasting at times. So we have to hope that he takes it to the next level. I really, really, really want to see rookie year Anthony Barr again. I don't know what the change was, whether Zimmer just gave him different responsibilities his rookie year or not. But I want to see Anthony Barr fly around and make plays the way he did his rookie year, instead of be more of a containment type player, because he has the skill set. We've seen in his rookie year to be extremely splashy, a lot of tackles for a loss, a lot of pass deflections, a lot of stuff like that. But he just kind of does his job, which is absolutely needed in the NFL, but doesn't really do any extra. He does satisfactory work. I want exceptional work. I want those Khalil Mack numbers, but just not realistic with Anthony Barr. I get it, but hopefully we can get something. But we have our linebacker core. We have Barr. We have Kendricks. Linebackers are good. Defensive tackles are not. But now that the Vikings gave big money to somebody, with giving Anthony Barr, who else could we possibly sign? I do think this takes the Vikings off the table for any other somewhat major signings. Now, I think everybody said this last year after Kirk Cousins. Everybody thought the Vikings were done. So maybe we do one more, maybe a Pierre Garcon, maybe one of those wide receivers. There's a lot of wide receivers, but also a lot of money being thrown around. So I think the Vikings will cool off for a day or two, but I also wouldn't be too surprised if they do one more decent player, and we still have a lot of money we can restructure, so our numbers isn't in stone yet. The Vikings could restructure Kyle Rudolph, Everson Griffin, who definitely should get restructured. So the Vikings have options if they still want to make moves, but they made one. Anthony Barr is a Viking, and Sheldon Richardson is not. So this curveball has thrown it through a loop, but if you want to stay on track to the rest of free agency, make sure you subscribe, and you see you guys in the next JOZ Vikings video. See you guys then.